Hello, Rowan Mithril here once again, getting back to, well, more to the analytical portion of our trip through Silent Hill 4. First things first, though, I wish to thank all my viewers for their patience over the last few days. Things are getting better, though, my mum's getting back to her normal cheery self, and the mood has improved. Thus, back to work for me. And so, while I work on getting back through the second half of the game, it's time to analyze a few things about Silent Hill 4. So, first up, we have monster analysis. Well, what there is of it. Sadly, the symbolism doesn't quite feel as deep as previous games. There is a little, seemingly more so than what Silent Hill 1 had to offer, which was mainly just a hit list of Alessa's personal fears more than any major symbolism. The first few of Walter's monsters, and make no mistake, they're his monsters, not Henry's, they also seem to follow this particular pattern. First off, we have the Sniffer Dog. This stems from a dog that scared him as a child at Garland's pet store. Apparently it scarred him so much that he felt the need to kill all the pets in the shop when he came back to kill Garland as one of the sacraments. It's theorized that this mass pet murder may also explain the fact that sniffer dogs make all manner of animal noises. Personally, I just chalk it up to Silent Hill 4's habit of just using whatever cheap stock sound effects they could get their hands on. Oh yeah, and the tongue is kinda like an umbilical cord, a thin tube it appears to use for feeding. Next on Walter's personal fears list is the Wall Man. This one is perhaps a little deeper than the last one, symbolizing Walter's claustrophobia, stemming from how he was trapped in the Wish House orphanage and not allowed outside, as well as possibly how he was trapped in the round cell. Let's just take a moment to consider the fact that someone that is so claustrophobic that their subconscious created a monster out of it is desperately trying to get into a tiny 4-room apartment. But anyway, yeah, the Wall Man is essentially just a show of the walls closing in on him. Next up on the fear list, would you believe the Hummer? Yeah, apparently Walter has some level of fear of annoying flying creatures. Various insects and birds, things like that. Apparently he doesn't like them. And the game gives no indication of this other than the fact that Walter will attack them if they're near. Yep. Apparently, Walter also has a distaste for hospitals, which, again, there's no real indication of this in the game. But anyway, this supposedly explains the wheelchairs. I more just think they were desperate to reference Alessa, because let's face it, that's what they've really been all about in the series so far. Notice what was absent in Silent Hill 2? Yeah. This distaste for hospitals is apparently also supposed to be partially where the patients came from. However, there's definitely more to it than that. The first patient we see is in the process of being more or less disemboweled by Walter in the midst of a cutscene. Essentially, their wombs are hollowed out. Again, we get that theme of birth and abandonment. No umbilical cord this time, though. There's a lot of resentment here, as well as Walter's misogynistic tendencies. Yeah, Walter definitely has women problems. Next on the fear scale, we have the Gumhead. These guys fill in basically the same kind of role as Rompers back in Silent Hill 1, a fear of adults. As a child, Walter was abused by many adults in his life. He began to see them as stupid, violent creatures, and it filled him with a bitterness toward society. The last to have this sort of feel to it is the Tremor. These leech-like slugs stem from fearful memories of Walter's childhood, during which apparently Andrew DeSalvo made the children under his care drink water infested with leeches. Lovely! So now that we're pretty much done with the personal fears list, let's go ahead and get the one monster that doesn't hurt you out of the way, the greedy worm. Yeah, there we go. Let's face it, the greedy worm is just a big tube that connects all of Walter's otherworlds. It's one big umbilical cord and little else. Next up, the bottom. This monster is pretty much just a model swap of the twin victims, which we'll be covering in another video. After all, they're part of a larger set of things. So, what the heck does the bottom symbolize? Well, according to an official strategy guide released by Piggy Bank Interactive, it's supposed to be a symbol of Walter's hatred for the family that walked out on him. How it symbolizes that, I'm at a loss. It does seem like the head coming out from the bottom side of the creature could be symbolic of childbirth, but other than that, your guess is as good as mine. Then we have the white stools and toadstools. These have sort of the same symbolism as creepers in past games, a universal symbol of decay. The toadstools also have another symbolic nature to them. Long tube-like stalk leading to a bulbous fetus-like growth? Yep. So finally for this video, we have the one truth. A glorified wall man, it acts as the guardian of Walter's mother down at the deepest part of the otherworld he's created. The multiple bodies it has seem perhaps indicative of the various contradictory truths of the Order. Even they can't seem to agree which is the proper path to paradise. With that, we've covered most of the monsters of the game. Obviously, we've left out the twin victims and the victim ghosts, but that's for the next video, where we'll be discussing the 21 sacraments. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again next time. Until then, fare thee well.